creating a problem nowadays a lot, and I think that is something we really need to discuss. Professor Iqbal also talked about media that yes, it helps us to cope up with stress, but at the same time, this also is creating stress if we are not really filtering that for us. Moving into the same direction, today we are going to discuss and deliberate on literature, films, and mental health. And for this, we have with us Dr. Suman Sigroha. She will be talking about, with the help of some examples from literature and films, how they are connected with the mental health and how they really help us to understand this phenomena in a better way. So before we start, I'd just like to take this opportunity to say a few words about Dr. Suman. Dr. Suman, who is a great friend of mine, she is a professor at IIT Mandi, Himachal Pradesh. She has more than 20 years of teaching experience at University of Delhi, Haryana College, and she has also been a research fellow at Stanford University. She has almost 70 papers to publish into the journals of national and international repute. And she has also presented papers on folk literature, women, the issues of feminism, and all. She also has been doing many projects which also focus onto the ecosystem into Himachal and Haryana. She has also been awarded you know, many scholarships and prizes. She has been mentoring PhD students also, and her students, they are also doing wonders at various places. So, there is a long list I can really go on. So, rather than talking much about that one, I'll now invite Professor Suman to please enlighten us on the issue literature, films, and mental health. Dr. Suman.
Ma'am, your screen is visible. Would you like to check for your voice and video once?
Ma'am, you're muted. Suman, up mute ho. Please unmute yourself.
मेरी आवाज आ रही है ना?
हाँ अंजलि मैम आप उनको मैं सुन पा रही हूँ.
हाँ. No problem, Priyanka. Let her take a
Okay.
second to
Okay.
settle the presentation.
विक्रम मैम खुद को अनम्यूट नहीं कर पा रही हैं, आपको उन्हें अनम्यूट करना पड़ेगा. विक्रम
Chandler,
शिवा.
the Everglades. To the Middle East now, and thousands taking to the streets of Iran. Some calling for
विक्रम मैम को होस्ट बना दो.
हाँ.
वो अनम्यूट नहीं कर पा रही हैं खुद को, आपको
हाँ
अनम्यूट करना
हाँ
पड़ेगा.
मैं भी पहले नहीं कर पा रही.
नहीं, वो
बनाया मैम, बनाया
वो होस्ट बना दिया, पर वो कह रही हैं अनम्यूट नहीं कर पा रही. आप अपने एंड पे करके देखो.
नहीं वो
ओके मैम.
विक्रम किसी और सुमन है यहाँ पे, जो सुमन आ रही है.
एक बार चेक कर लो विक्रम.
ओके मैम.
हाँ अब हो गया. मैम यू आर नाउ. या
Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Anjali. Thank you, Professor Priyanka. And thank you for such a warm welcome and a warm introduction. I hope I do live up to that. That's why I usually say less, so that, if I live up to the expectations, you can say more rather than saying more and not being able to live up to those expectations. But yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for making me part of this. I have been working on mental health because I have a background in psychology, also in counseling. So we are trying to make that, but I wouldn't say that, this will be the end or be all of mental health or literature or films. So I'm also as much a student as the rest of us here in this session are. So let me begin with it.
Ma'am, I'll just take a second. Can you please
Sure.
make the presentation full screen so that it is more visible to us?
Yeah, I will.
If it is possible, ma'am.
Yeah, it is possible. And now?
Thank you so much, ma'am. It is now visible and you're audible. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So art attracts us. This is how I begin, because most of the session is about arts. And it may not necessarily be, just films and literature, but any sort of art, which various other sessions, as I saw in the brochure also, and in the program also, they talk about. So it's something that attracts us by what it reveals of our most secret self. And I hope, you can interrupt me if you have questions, you can ask. And if you have any comments also, you can, because anyways, those insights help me also. Okay. So this is a very famous quote by Godard. And very much closer home and much more philosophical is Sri Aurobindo's. It is not necessary that every man should be an artist. It is necessary that every man should have his artistic faculty fully developed, his taste trained, his sense of beauty and insight into form and color, that which is expressed in form and color, made habitually active, correct, and sensitive. So the idea is appreciating beauty, but as well as acknowledging that everything has beauty if we care to look, and helping each other out. So sorry for this. As Dr. Priyanka knows, we are going through a little bit of trouble because of the rains. Somewhere people do not have enough rains. We have too much of rains. Sorry about that. Okay, now, yeah. So what works of art do is they portray characters experiencing mental health issues. This is becoming more and more, as I heard Priyanka say that Professor Iqbal yesterday had mentioned about trauma. So we are also working on that. They express mental health issues like depression, which are common nowadays, and we see in the younger population, also our student groups that comes in, especially the BTech students. There's a lot of social anxiety and tendency towards suicide. So it shows that the art has the potential to show it in a very striking manner. I begin with what the positives are and do bring in a little bit of, the negative aspect of it. We touch upon it, but the idea is to, focus on the positive here. So they have the potential to help by providing information. In today's age, although, that is not something that is lacking, but still, where to find that proper information in which on which you can depend is very much required. So they do that sometimes. They challenge stereotypes like violence, that people with mental illnesses have a tendency towards violence, which has been portrayed also in literature, in films, in serials, in various media. So however, the self-same and the changing versions, or the changing current portrayals, they challenge those stereotypes, reduce stigma, the stigma associated with mental health, mental issues, mental illnesses, decrease the sense of isolation. Somebody who is going through perhaps social anxiety or depression, they feel very isolated. It's difficult to talk to them. So it decreases that sense of isolation. They provide role models, something overcoming it. And we will see through films, and you have read also lots of books where they talk of these characters who overcome such situations, and they serve as role models. Build empathy, not somebody who's just going through maybe an illness or an episode of that, but others also sort of normalize it, in the sense of taking it, that such an illness does exist, and the people, they are normal people who need just help. So reaching out also is part of it, and instill hope in the one who is going through that dark phase. Thus, people struggling with mental health concerns can feel less alone seeing or reading about mental illnesses. So that said, portrayal of mental issues has the potential to be distressing. So it's not just, that they have negative evaluations, negative stereotype building, but they can also act as triggers also for episodes, because somewhere if you talk about movies like Psycho or The Silence of the Lambs, etc., they can be quite triggering in that effect, because the violence is quite extreme. So what do literature or cinema or any sort of media arts does is it prevents, perhaps it has a role in prevention, it has a role in promotion of talking about mental health, management of mental health, as well as treatment, although not everything that is portrayed is correct. We see a lot of patients with schizophrenia being portrayed, and the way they are portrayed, the symptoms that are shown might be very different from, because the director or they talk about the freedom of expression as well as freedom to mold a character. So they take sometimes excessive freedom, in the sense that clinically person going through schizophrenia or clinically diagnosed schizophrenic may have very different symptoms than what is being portrayed on the screen. So it has to be taken with a pinch of salt. So what is required is that we need to understand, sorry, these are my notes on the side, aspects that affect mental health and address causes of health compromising behaviors. So through these also, the sort of understanding can be built up. Through the portrayals, an understanding can be built up. So mental health literacy can be built up. Obviously, it's not, it may not be 100% correct. You need to go to literature, you need to read or be aware of what exactly those are, but still some sort of mental health literacy can be built up, and it includes knowledge and recognition of mental illnesses, that this sort of behavior or these bunch of behaviors amount to a mental illness. It can be an anxiety, it can be stress, it can be depression, which is very common. I was reading somewhere that out of 10, around 5 people suffer from one or the other sort of undiagnosed mental illness. So you can see the sort of prevalence that it has. What might the risk factors might be, and the causes. A lot of films show those, childhood trauma, perhaps, some episode which might have triggered a mental illness. Knowledge around how to access related information. So, as well as resilience. Resilience is very important part of it. Although it's, something that is up and coming now, till now it has been the portrayals only of what a depressed person might be like, or what a schizophrenic might be going through. However, resilience is something that is being talked about more and more now, although it's comparatively even still very less. So why do we need these, recourse to literature or films or drama, theater? Why do we need to them? Because it is a very recognized fact that people respond to positively to simple early interventions when offered in non-clinical settings. So this becomes part of this intervention by providing psychosocial support. If it's a group activity, it has much more, although reading is a very individual activity. However, if read it, even in, that's why book clubs are encouraged. When you read it together, It helps you, the social support that is provided by the other members. Self-help strategies, people learn them also alongside as they go on, and educational interventions. They are influenced by and derive their understanding, the people, the youngsters most likely, the teenagers, young adults, they are influenced by and derive their understanding of mental illness most of the times from secondary sources. Like popular culture, which is films and these days it's YouTube, Instagram also. So all the Twitter at times also becomes part of it, although the words required are less, but they do. So that's why, which is the reason why it's so important to have a focus on literature and the media as such. Fiction and films do both. They entertain as well as educate. So this is the reason why it's really important to bring them into focus when you talk of various stressors in life, or education about mental health. So film based as well as this is literature based also. Now again, film is nowadays, it has, again, watching has become a very individual experience, because people do it in their personal spaces, maybe on a laptop, on a computer, etc. However, the experience that was in a cinema hall, however small a cinema hall it is, it's that group activity which inculcates the other emotions as well, which helps. So these are interventions are ideal, because it shows films become something familiar. They familiarize a situation which might be very distant for till that point of time. They are developmentally relevant and can be evocative as well as non-threatening. So the idea is that you have the right emotions being portrayed there. However, you know that there is a difference between them and us. So that boundary always remain. Although you may be very immersed in the experience, I still remember watching the movie Guru. I was still doing my PhD at IIT Delhi, and I remember I and my roommate, we wanted to watch it because the songs were so beautiful, and Aishwarya Rai, all that Ghagra and everything. The two of us, you can call us morons now, we went to Saket in the morning to purchase tickets for the afternoon. And that I still remember. So they are so evocative, the splashing of the rain, the drops, the colors, the whole palette. It's really very beautiful. And you go through the emotions also. Whether it's separation, whether it is grief, whether it is, so it's the same for everybody else. So it's that whole immersive experience. It's, even if it is something violent, you watch it, however, you know and you very well understand that it doesn't affect you immediately. You are away from that situation, so it is non-threatening in that sense. And that's where it lies its importance for mental health interventions, as well as your understanding about mental health. So the focus can be on mental health literacy, resilience building, attitude towards help seeking. So this behavior, help seeking behavior, is something that is actually the first step when somebody is suffering from any of these on the spectrum. However, not many people are aware that they can seek help. So the portrayal, whether it is in media, whether it is in films, whether it is in fiction, it helps by taking them forward to that step that yes, help is available as long as you reach out. So most of the times people suffer because they are unable to reach out. So this help seeking behavior at this point is very important. So films and literature, they do that. They help you understand that it is reachable as long as you speak out. Stigma reduction, and the stigma can be in it can be personal stigma, it can be a very self stigma also. When it's like when we feel ashamed about something and we try and portray something else, or we are very unhappy, something like a body shaming, fat shaming, that happens, which is the negative aspect of media. So how the films and the literature help is they affect social determinants of health. So and I'll talk of these three: social cohesion, inequalities, and inequities, what these are. They encourage health promoting behaviors. When you watch them, sort of healthy living, when you see in a movie like I mention it, Alia Bhatt one, where she reaches out, it's Hello Zindagi or something. So when she reaches out, yeah. So, I write about these and then I forget the names. I'm very sorry. I'm really bad with names. So she reaches out. So when you see that, once you have reached out, once you have taken those steps, it can lead to a very positive experience. Then people do that. So promotes healthy living and encourages engagement with healthcare. That reaching out to the doctors, many of us have this tendency not to reach out to the doctors in the first instance. Any doctor, if the tooth is hurting, we actually will look for alternatives first and try and not to go to a doctor, although it's another matter whether they are helpful or not. In place like Mandi, we get ripped off very frequently because they believe that IIT Mandi is paying us. So you get reimbursement, ma'am. For how much you pay doesn't make a difference. So I think that is one deterrent. But watching that you are reaching out to a doctor and overcoming your illness and leading a normal, healthy lifestyle is also encourages this engagement with the healthcare sector, because of their role in health communication, because they talk about the causes as well as the effects of the person going through, as well as how a person can come back to a normal healthy lifestyle, reducing health related stigma and engaging marginalized or hard to reach groups. So the a lot of us suffer from that stigma because we see that it's not encouraged. However, if there is a positive portrayal, we reach out as well as we engage. So, these marginalized and hard to reach groups are also including LGBTQ, marginalized women, young adults, children, everybody. Those which sort of fall through the sieve of normal groups help prevent ill health by enhancing well-being and mental health. This songs also does, music also does, group activities do, painting, theater, watching together, reading obviously also does. Reducing the impact of trauma. Once you have read about something, it sort of helps in the reduction of that impact of trauma. Once you see an image like that little child on the beach facing down, coming from Syria, you do know that the immensity of that, enormity of that trauma. However, it also, in a sense, if you read about these portrayals and happy endings, perhaps for some refugees, it's not for everybody though. So you do overcome a sort of a trauma that goes with it. So it can be a personal trauma, it can be trauma related to a situation that you see, read about, and besides going through one. And engaging, and reducing the risk of cognitive decline, frailty, and premature mortality. So again, it's not just the younger people who go through this, but the older also, like Alzheimer's and all. And these have been very beautiful portrayed in movies as well. So how they can be helped is or can be reduced, the episodes or the intensity of it can be reduced. So all that you see, and it helps in the prevention also at times. Support caregiving. So caregiving, the carer also needs as much care. One who has gone through a long if there is a illness at home, and you watch the movies there was this recently, this one has also come out, The Help, and this women centric Malayalam one, which is she, what's the name, I forget again. So how come the woman, it becomes normalized doing everything else for the rest of them. It has been made into Hindi also very recently, Tapsi Pannu, that one. So caregiving, a woman does all that at home, not just for the kitchen. The kitchen, the great Indian kitchen. Sorry, as I said, bad with names. Okay, so not just somebody who suffers from illness needs help, but the one who cares for that person also need help, because ultimately they end up bearing the brunt of it, the major brunt of it. And you show, this way you develop empathy also. That is one of the most important steps. As I said, the earlier one was reaching out for one, but developing empathy and leading to resilience is another one. Additionally, arts help people experience mental illness, so mild to moderate. If you read about Mrs. Dalloway, PTSD and trauma, the way it has been shown, one has a little milder, although she is suicidal, the other one commits suicide. So you do know what it can lead to. So, one is helped because she talks about it, and the other one is not, because he has an extreme one. Nobody is able to understand it. Although it's a very, the example might be outdated in the sense that PTSD was not as very well understood as it is now. In a sense, things haven't changed much also, because there is as much stigma involved surrounding PTSD as it was at that time. But now at least there is more awareness that there is a condition called PTSD. So yeah, it helps people experience a mental illness by reading about it, by watching it. So what films and literature do is that they offer representation. And I talk about positive representations only of marginalized communities, as I had mentioned, minorities, those living in poverty, LGBTQ plus community, those struggling with mental health issues. Some might be chronic illnesses like cancer, and nobody is comfortable talking about those illnesses these days. Diabetes and hypertension have become very normal when however, a person living with that illness has difficulty. So these are lifestyle diseases, so the lifestyle changes have to be made, but living with it can also be as traumatic as living with any other maybe autism, schizophrenia and others. So everybody who goes through it, and the way it is portrayed, literature helps, and the films help with the representation. At least there is a place to talk about it, to show it, teach empathy. So through emotional connections with the others, it helps the readers or the viewers better understand their fellow man, what a person goes through. Again, empathy can be learned about plights of people outside their own circle. So empathy is, we might be very empathetic towards our own family members, towards our friends, but through literature and cinema, what we do is that we reach out to the others. This circle of empathy is widened outside through characters in a show or real life people in their day-to-day lives. I would maybe identify more with the character, like in A Beautiful Mind. After watching it, Again, now, it's a very thin line between genius and somebody completely broken down. So, in a sense, in history, we go through. I still remember when I talk about history, and as I was writing it, I remember that Einstein's picture of his tongue out and all. So again, he was a genius, but could well have been not a genius as well. Could have been termed as a madman, right? So you start empathizing with the characters once you read about them, once you watch them being portrayed on screen, making one a ourselves very well-rounded, educated citizens. And our immediate circle, sense of group and compassion will combine to further emotional intelligence and capacity for empathy. Again, empathy building for anyone just beyond our immediate circle. It has the unique ability to introduce one to different cultures and perspectives. So one thing that literature or cinema does very beautifully is that we get introduced to cultures across the world and understand their situations, understand those cultures, the way people, their work within their limitations or beyond their limitations, how they fight against the circumstances. So build a better understanding of our world and better understanding of a culture. They inspire hope. It is not a secret that the world can be a dark place. All of us have those phases. A work of art can act as a soft heaven. I think I took this from somewhere. I liked it. So I have it a reference somewhere, where people escape from a few hours to feel inspired. Okay, so again, the pages of a book, the screen, maybe 2 hours, 3 hours. There used to be 4 hours. I still remember Karma as one of the longest movies I watched. Loved it. Go back to it perhaps at times. And you have all the emotions working through that. You have family, you have empathy, you have violence, then working towards reuniting this. So that 2-3 hours provides this a very different atmosphere. Okay, a heaven for us. So we get transported to a different realm altogether. If someone's mental health is low, stories of triumph, resilience, and perseverance offer day-to-day inspiration, which we see in movies like A Beautiful Mind, The Soloist. Okay, there are others also. You may talk about them. So what they do is, these pieces of literature and cinema, they stimulate open communication. Audiences struggling with mental health concerns can feel less alone when seeing mental health being portrayed. So if I am feeling a little depressed and if I see that somebody else is being, I do not feel isolated. Yes, there are people around the world going through the same motions. Discuss their mental health struggles with others more openly. So what literature does is, it shows, what cinemas does is, it shows that you can talk to people. That is the first step. Reaching out, seeking help is the first step towards improvement. Personally reflect on their mental health issues and how to improve them. So some people take steps from those. They might not be scientifically proven, but if they feel that this has helped a character in a book or a character in a movie, they start doing those things themselves. Especially you can see that with weight reduction, although that in itself is not a mental health issue, but stigma attached to it is fat shaming, urges to lose weight, talking about it all the time. It does, lead to mental health issues for sure. So, and people have recourse to, that's why you have through the ages, through the years, various fads. I think the latest one might be, and I might be wrong, I might be outdated again, intermittent fasting. not eating more than once a day, something. Corona, times was the where everybody experimented with everything. Gardening was another positive one. Build empathy for other people living with mental illness. It might seem repetitive, but we can't say too much about it as yet. Encourage activism for causes surrounding mental health. So it can also lead to positive steps in that sense, that encourage activism, increase confidence. It provides a safe, supportive space for people of all ages and skills to explore their emotions. So, without because it is within the pages, you are thinking about it within a particular space, you are watching it in those 2-3 hours only. It provides that safe haven to the people to talk about it, to discuss, to see it. Seeing one take social risks, express oneself freely, and connect with others encourages the same and builds self-esteem. So building the self-esteem is another step towards positive health. So what does research say? Arts have been found to foster pro-social behavior, a shared sense of success. These are the various research papers, studies that have found a shared sense of success. There is coordination, shared attention, shared motivation, and group identity. So the most important part of overcoming any anxiety related issues, stress, mental health issues, depression, any mental health issues for that matter, illnesses, is the sense of identity, being part of a group, being knowing that there are people trying to help you, or you can reach out to people. Experimental studies have shown positive effects on self-perceptions of social bonding, social behaviors, and oxytocin levels. So it's like when you go out walking in a group, because it helps you generate these positive oxytocin levels, you feel happier. You besides maybe having other physical effects, but mental moods are also affected positively. You develop resilience, the ability to adapt. And resilience is this: I haven't spoken about resilience in detail anywhere else. The ability to adapt or manage significant stress, which is essential in preventing and reducing mental distress. So today, in today's age and date, we have climate trauma also, besides all the other trauma, which is leading to distress as well as stress. So resilience is this ability to overcome all that and adapt to it as well as manage it. And arts has the potential to help address social inequalities. I talked about them a little earlier. These are especially where health matters are concerned, uneven distribution of health or health resources in a country like although the stigma is everywhere, but in a country like maybe the US or the European countries, you do have access to psychologists and psychiatrists, and because of the confidentiality also involved, it may be less distressing in that, less person may be less stigmatized for reaching out for help also. But in places like India, it may not be. We do not have enough, unfortunately, enough help in that sense. I remember reading a study. It was in relation to Kashmiri women, how they are, how militancy is affecting them negatively, besides the other, loss of jobs, loss of spaces, sexual or other sort of violence, etc. Many of them are going through this, trauma due to the violence, day-to-day violence that they face. So, however, that is compounded further because they are unable to reach out to a counselor or a psychologist or psychiatrist. They do not have that help. So this was a case study. So one of the respondents had said that she would go out to consult mental health expert in the garb of going out for a class or something. So, she could not say that I am feeling depressed, or I'm, going through this mental health issue, and I want to reach out to a psychiatrist or a counselor. It has to be framed in very different senses. So this it is an inequality, and people deal with it. And art shows that you can reach out without being stigmatized. So, and social inequities, unfair, avoidable differences in the society and the environment that it can shape help, support responsible decision making, enhance well-being, and reduce exposure to violence. Uh, well-being is enhanced again in a group setting, individual also, when you see the example of somebody going through trauma as well as recovering. So when you read about the examples of these characters who overcome the various difficult situations, it does enhance well-being, promote social inclusion, skills development, capacity building, and health promotion. Yeah, it matters where these this is in reference to especially the venues, the location of an art center, etc. Especially when you have drawing, music, theater, or other such group activities, arts activities. So the venue, the site becomes very important, because these become the the next space, the third arena, along with the classroom, the home. This becomes this safe haven where people can go to and express themselves and feel safe. That's the job of a home. That's what a home is supposed to be. That's what a classroom is supposed to be. Okay, where you learn as well as you feel safe, where you know that you can reach out to your teachers and be heard, and perhaps your issues be addressed. So for mental health also, these three are very important arenas. And that's why I mentioned earlier this reading groups. They provide these safe havens, and they might be located in a local library, a college library, a university library, or just a reading room, where you can go and that people are there to talk to you, or you can talk to them. Therefore, arts provide an accepted way to reduce loneliness and social isolation. So loneliness is this moving towards the individual society. It's creating a lot of loneliness and isolation among people, especially in the post-COVID society. And I hear this often from not just our peer, and we see which we didn't earlier on. There are kids sitting down. We have two campuses. There are kids sitting down to wait for a bus for the other campus. It's 15 minutes away by bus. So most of them they might be friends, but they are texting, or they are involved with social media, and they might be talking to somebody on phone, but they are not talking to somebody sitting next to them. So this is leading to lots of loneliness, lots of isolation. And these activities, especially reading in a group, watching maybe films, particular documentaries, and so on, it helps in reduction of this. Activities involving group participation are effective at fostering cooperation, self-concept, and a sense of social inclusion. And engagement with the arts can lead to pro-social behaviors, helping behaviors, because you see in a group that people are helping you out, so you do help out, including volunteering. So if you are in a group, you tend to volunteer more, you tend to donate more. just you can do a social experiment yourself on your own. You go in your car alone and there is a beggar on the street, or if they ask you, you would not give alms perhaps. But if you are, four of you traveling in a car, there is a sort of a peer pressure perhaps, and it leads to more pro-social behavior, as in you would at least reach out to buy something from a vendor at a crossroads, or try and give alms because somebody else might be opening their purse at the time. So in a group, you do more charitable giving, you volunteer more, and it increases social consciousness, basically leading to positive mental health. The arts can also form a good bridge between different groups, fostering greater social inclusion. So one example that I remember for this is our students, many of them come from privileged backgrounds. They haven't, not seen any paucity of the basic amenities. So our NSS section, we live a little away from the town. They take them to the town, Mandi, and to this leprosy home. And when they come back, they are, at least for a short duration, they are much more empathetic. They are much more sympathetic. They understand the value of what they have. They talk about it. We, interact with these students when they come back. So it fosters this social inclusion that, yes, there are people who are less privileged than us, and we might be, it is a good idea to help out. Yeah. If it becomes boring, do tell me. We can talk about films, and we can talk about movies. I can go to the slides further and talk about them. So it helps. Arts have been shown to, these studies have shown that they help build social cohesion and support conflict resolution through developing cognitive, emotional, and social skills. You see that in lots of literature coming out, as well as out of Afghanistan, Syria, Palestine. You can see that in, as you might have also read in Jewish literature, closer home, and literature coming out from the northeast, or Jammu and Kashmir also, and other these pockets of violence. So they help with it because of the expression. And by supporting empathy, I have already spoken about this. Trust, sorry, I think, yeah. By supporting empathy, trust, social engagement, collaboration, and transformative learning. So the idea is to build more, stronger individuals, better individuals rather than stronger in the sense of mental health. Among indigenous communities, the arts can help to preserve cultural traditions. So, going back to Gond art, worldly and all, it helps. I'm sorry, I'm deviating away from literature. When I was reading about literature and cinema, I couldn't but help also read alongside this. So at this, I might be foraying into somebody else's domain, but why not? So and promote identity and resilience. So it's one way of, if you look at the indigenous communities across the world, they are in now the process of preserving. At least for us, it's there. For others also it was and has been. This process has been ongoing. So it helps with the this identity formation, building up this identity that we belong to this group, and this is our art, this is our expression, oral literature especially, folk art. And it helps, tide over various traumatic conditions by showing how it has been done prior. So, helping with the resilience also. Film and literature can help reduce ethnic tensions and improve inter-ethnic relations and cultural competence. Although, in today's time, it may not be a very good example, but there was a movie long time ago, Amrish Puri and somebody else, and they are in UK. It's India, Pakistan. They will break each other's TV if, the other sides win. So they are living together, they are friends, but they can't stand each other. And cricket becomes this one ground of fighting. It's a very, metaphoric fight also. Instead of fighting at the border and killing people, they are just breaking the TVs, thankfully. Okay, so it reduces those ethnic tensions, and whenever there is a rise in ethnic tension, arts is one medium which helps reduce this. Not in today's time, especially in the post Operation Sindoor, you can see how I think Diljit Dosanjh is being at the receiving end for Sardarji 3, casting Hani Amir, although a very talented actress, but can't say that also. Yeah, refugees and asylum seekers have reported that engagement with the arts following forced displacement supported them in creating new social support networks. So somebody, leaving their homes, and it happened a lot with the Kashmiri Pandits also at one point of time in early 1990s, when they had to move away from Kashmir and, run on to Jammu and other places. So formation of these social networks through literature and arts had helped them overcome that trauma, although some of them haven't overcome, especially the older generation, the ones who were adults at the time, but the trauma and still perpetuates. Is sort of an intergenerational trauma. But at least by building up these positive social networks and developing practical skills, helps them overcome certain situations, and helps them at least settle down in a newer place, like finding work, etc. Songs promoting social inclusion can reduce prejudice, discrimination, and aggression between groups and promote cultural understanding. And Bollywood borrows freely from everywhere. So it's a very multicultural. You'll take up any song of Anu Malik, 1990s. All of them are borrowed from everywhere in the world. So we have a better understanding of other cultures through his songs also. A bad example, but it's there. The creativity involved in arts participation is thought to develop creative thinking. Again, creative thinking helps, identity formation, feel less isolated. Then again, help people overcome their depressions, etc. Problem solving and the reconstruction of beliefs, because a belief system is very important. When a belief that you can overcome or something can help you do that in that dark phase is very, very important. So film and fiction based interventions have been embraced by adolescents and education tools. Their efficacy in mental health is still being explored. It's not as if it's a short way to help them, but some of it does help. They emerge as promising educational methods for enhancing mental health literacy and reducing stigma. I think I'll talk about it in next slide, that although they sometimes in earlier 60s, 70s, 80s, they did increase this stigma also, but positive portrayals are now helping reduce a stigma. Should be taken with, I think, I say it in this slide only, should be taken with a pinch of salt. Narrative-based films have a weaker effect on attitudes towards help seeking when compared with more instructive approaches. So what sort of, movie is shown, or the message, whether it is conscious or not, helps, or hinders the positive behavior. So more studies are required, and perhaps better movies are required. The media continues to connect violence with mental illness. This is, one of the major negatives of being completely dependent on maybe the films or sometimes even the books. It often classifies only the bizarre or threatening behavior as mental illness. Okay. A movie like Animal, which came out and which was like disgusted a lot of people, but it was watched as well. And it wasn't called out. It was called out by critics, but the producers, the directors shamelessly did say that, this is what we have made and this is what people liked. Same with Shahid Kapoor's movie, where he's a doctor and he has this very negative, portrays a very, very, Kabir Khan. Really can't stand that movie. So horrible portrayal. Unrealistic portrayal of, and it's not, the characters are not called out for their mental illnesses. They are not normal people. Unrealistic portrayal of psychiatric disorders. So, the symptoms might be incorrect, or the frenzies might be shown completely off. They show negative stereotypical images and perpetuate myths about mental health. So some myths might just be perpetuated that, you cannot talk to people, you cannot they are not normal people. I say it in double quotes, normal. So when you talk about stress and anxiety, I come to now just the examples, and towards the fag end of this talk or the session. Most of the characters in the movies undergo psychological and societal pressure. If you remember Three Idiots, you do have somebody committing suicide there, and it talks about that. It's in that sense a positive movie. So son and Chichore commits suicide. So people are coming out and talking about it in very sensitively. Dyslexia and aging are triggers for stress in Tare Zameen Par. Now his Sitare Zameen Par has also come in, and very positive portrayal at times. Piku also talks about this. Then you have resilience and coping in some. Some characters are supportive, others offer resilience and coping mechanisms. They offer, this the ways how a person copes with mental health. The white tiger, although not a favorite by any stretch thought, but still, the way it has been shown, at least the resilience part of it, although it shows poverty, it shows violence, it shows stress, it also shows in a sense of how you cope with it. Then you have Guru and Rangde Basanti. How people can be responsible, how can they be resilient as well. The recent one, Gramin Chikitsalya, it's, I think, on, again, Amazon. Through one of the characters, it shows how somebody is suffering from bipolar disorder, and the stigma associated with it, the taboo associated with it, even though the mother is a nurse in the village health center. Then you have Atrangire, where the central character is suffering, the protagonist is suffering from PTSD. It's Sara Ali Khan, if I'm not wrong. So she conjures up this other character, Akshay Kumar, who's dead and long gone, but she talks to him all the time. And at the end, you see how she overcomes it, and shows a positive change towards the end. Phobia, where the character has agoraphobia after an assault, fearful of, can't go into certain spaces, have panic attacks, anxiety attacks, etc. Then you have Highway, talks about various issues, not just Stockholm syndrome. It talks about childhood trauma. It talks about, very strong portrayal there, and how to overcome it. Although, it's Monsoon Wedding also, I've written it here only. Monsoon Wedding also talks about something similar, but in different terms. Here you have very stark rendition of it. In Monsoon Wedding, Shefali Chaya just comes in towards the
Priyanka, just call ma'am then. I think so. Connectivity issue, na?
हाँ वो पावर कट हो गया तो फोन से कनेक्ट कर रही हूँ बस जस्ट सेकेंड
हाँ, no problem.
वरुण शिवा मैम को अनम्यूट करना शी कांट अगेन अनम्यूट हरसेल्फ
मैम को होस्ट ही है मैम।
नहीं फिर भी वो अनम्यूट नहीं कर पाते हैं पिछली बार भी तुमने किया था शायद अभी एक बार फिर से कर दो
विक्रम मैम को आप कर दो अनम्यूट ना।
ओके मैम।
Yeah, it's done. Sorry, we had a power cut. Now I am connected through the phone. So, should work. Yeah. Movies like Door, Lunchbox, and Water speak of various kinds of anxieties that women face by being doubly subjugated by the situation as well as the society. And they're a tale of resilience. The movies like Help, they talk about the colored women, their concerns, and they raise white babies, and then themselves becoming servants of these babies as children as they grow up, while their children are left at home unattended. Then I put a novel here. I have put the novels elsewhere. Novels like Color Purple also leave a very strong impact about these situations and on the minds of the reader. If you read short stories also, from Prem Chand or from, they talk about this entire cycle of cultural dominance. And that resilience is a very different sort of resilience, although it is resilience, overcoming the situation, overcoming stigma, overcoming, and the poverty, etc. And facing their situations, accepting it. An important step in mental health and coping, and is Dear Zindagi, that Alia Bhatt and Shah Rukh Khan movie, where you have where it openly talks about therapy. People do not talk about therapy, so it normalizes therapy. Although the protagonist almost falls in love with her therapist, but then the therapist handles particularly well. So these are various movies and books that and this is a very, very small a cohort that I am talking of here. Sorry about the noises. Okay, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. It was one of the earliest positive portrayals in Hollywood. There is another, in Hindi cinema, it's a black and white Norgus movie. It's beautiful, about this woman who has various personalities. Again, forget the name. She had come out of maternity and did that movie. It was one of her last movies. It's really, really beautiful. I remember the song and I wanted to say that and I forgot which song was it. Forgot. If I remember it, I'll say. The Soloist, a beautiful mind again, normalizes somebody a genius who might very well have been termed a mad person if his genius hadn't been recognized. And one of the most disturbing and movies or series that has come out in recent times is Adolescence. It has attracted people. It has divided. Everybody loves it, but everybody also is grappling with the sort of issue that it discusses. It's very timely. It's a beautiful, beautiful series, and it talks about murder and how a 13-year-old does it, and what it does. It's very disturbing. It's still very beautifully done. Sitare Zameen Par, very recent. And books, you have Jane Eyre, the stories, Yellow Wallpaper. Very evocative descriptions, beautifully drawn. And even though the first year BTechs here do not understand it, I do make it a point to talk about it in one of the English courses, especially first and early second year students. Mrs. Dalloway, and there are lots more examples. I was writing them. I think I stopped at the time. I thought, the listeners might contribute to it. So, yeah, stop here. So this was, supposed to be the positive. I was wanting to put in images, and because without images or pictures, a presentation does, especially an online one, does become boring. I wanted to put it earlier, but I wasn't able to, since I didn't have my own, and taking others, I did not see a point in. So I just had this one. This was towards Lahore. A beautiful, silent one after 12 hours in traffic. This is where climate anxiety is coming in, climate change anxiety is coming in. 12 hours, all the traffic from Delhi, Punjab, Haryana, through a 9 kilometer tunnel. So we were stuck in traffic for 8 hours, which was supposed to be 2 hours. And this was the view that met us when we crossed the tunnel. Beautiful. It made, it's sort of, I was reminded of when I look at this picture and those views that I looked at, that, you go through so much and anything positive helps you overcome all that. So I stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Suman. Thank you for highlighting how narratives, both visual and written, they do more than entertain. They can heal, they can reveal, and they can also, rescue people from their isolation, from their trauma. You have beautifully talked about that how any of art form, whether that is fiction, whether that is movie, that can create that literacy, that can make people aware about these different forms of mental illness. And with that awareness, with that literacy, it can stop to some extent that feeling of othering. Right, like when we start creating them, okay, that they are that no normalcy wala thing, may we can put them into that one. I think it helps to bring people from them, and they can bring them into that, the center rather than pushing them towards the margin.
Margins. Yeah.
Right. It stimulates open conversation, and again, that helps people to, come out of their confines. It stops them feeling isolated, uh, and helps them to build their self-esteem. Right. With the help of the research also, you have proved that how all these things, they address social inequalities and social inequities, and help to reduce stigma also. You gave examples from literature, you gave examples from the movies also, and I think we all have really understood that, how important art is. But yes, at some point you also talked about that if this mental health, this is not portrayed positively with that consciousness, then it can also create, some negative stereotypes about that one. When you talked about that, how violence can be associated with mental health. So I think there lies a duty on the movie directors and the movie makers also, the literary figures also, that they should be conscious that what they are writing, that is not only some words, they are not only some visual images, but as Albert Bandura talks about in his social learning theory, that people learn by observing others. So obviously, there lies a lot of responsibility on the shoulders of literary figures and cinema makers. They should be careful what they are projecting on the screen or onto the papers, right? Yes, now. Yeah, I really, learned a lot from the session. Thank you so much for that. And I think these are
Thank
the
you.
views of our participants also. Now, there are some questions. With your permission, I would like to take them. There is
Sure.
one by Dr. Shivangi, and she says, ma'am, could it also be the case that literature and cinema might lead to isolation for some individuals, where they develop antisocial tendencies by immersing themselves too deeply in fictional worlds, eventually blurring the line between fiction and reality?
It does happen. That's what is
So what do
happening,
you say?
especially, yes, it does happen. You can look at the, I did mention it, especially with the younger generation. You can see it happening in the Japanese society, especially, where they have to, they have these detoxification centers for social media or mobile usage, etc. So yes, it might lead to, it does lead to isolation as well. And I gave examples of our students sitting together but not talking to each other. So it does lead to, that's why I throughout this talk I try to emphasize that they are not, immersing yourself is not the way. So any access of anything is obviously, it's debilitating. So yes, it does lead to it.
Yeah, yeah, completely agree that I think we have to
Yeah.
filter that. We have to,
Yeah.
in the yesterday's session also, we came to know that, we have to fix a time. And as you said, कि अति हर चीज की बुरी होती है.
बिल्कुल.
तो वो आपको आई थिंक एक टाइमलाइन तो करना ही चाहिए कि आप you don't go and you don't get lost into that virtual world of yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
There is one more question, Dr. Suman, by Dr. Annapurna. She asked that please suggest how to integrate film and art in higher education curriculum.
I think we are doing, NEP is also doing that. When we do offer one paper on literature and cinema as a DSE paper,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, even the IITs are also doing the same. We do have more freedom than the universities because the syllabus there is fixed. Change it after a few years by incorporating the new stuff. But yeah, even in I did this when I was at the Hindu. Uh, we would watch a movie alongside. So we were reading that the course did not specify that you have a movie alongside, but we watched it alongside. So there were examples from the movies that we did. So we would read a text and I would ask the students to watch its movie rendition. They might be very different as they sometimes are, but they, you know, help because they are made in a different age and with a different perspective also at times. So yes, you can incorporate those when you are teaching your other courses as well. Some similar examples might be brought in from cinema or from the serials also. And children nowadays, I am seeing the younger generation, especially our students might be at your places as well. They are into manga, they are into anime. So, you talk about the relationships, you talk about, they are a reflection of what we are doing in literature courses only. So you can talk about them, incorporate them actively in your classes that ways.
yeah, very true. Even if they are not,
Yeah,
formally
mandated.
integrated into your curriculum, you can use
Yeah.
them to, explain any topic you are
Yes.
teaching. कल प्रोफेसर आनंद प्रकाश सर भी यही बोल रहे थे कि वो they use those short films of 10-15 minutes in their class and
जी.
try to use them to make the content more interesting and
Yeah.
explain that one.
Yeah.
Dr. Trilochan Jenna has asked for some films for college students. I think you provided one list in the last slide of yours where you talked about some
That was not an
movies.
exhaustive, yeah, but some examples, yes.
Yeah. So I think Chichor is also a good movie where it
Yeah.
teaches you that stress is an integral part of human existence. It's going to be there with you. You just have to learn
Learn to
how
live
to
with it.
cope up with that and how not don't let that
Yeah.
hamper your mental health.
Mm.
There is one more question by Dr.
Yeah.
Ruchika Sharma. Says like she enjoyed the examples you have used, just like me. As a society, can we also be conscious of the language we use, terms that we use that discriminate against those with mental and psychological health concerns? Making fun, for example, or taking it lightly, for example. Rather than resilience of individuals, should we also not emphasize practicing empathy as a society? What do you say? I think, yeah, like
Yeah,
it's the
that
answer
is the
within the question, I think.
yes, because this is the move towards it only. The society as a whole, the terms that are used for we had different terms, and now the handicapped was used quite a bit, right? Then differently abled. Now it's something else. So yes, we are as a society are also moving towards that, using the language very sensitively. And that is one way to empathize as well.
There is this one more question. Dr. Seema
Right.
Sharma, she is saying कि क्या सिनेमा और कला समाज में कोरे मनोरंजन का साधन नहीं है? इनकी समाज में उपयोगिता है?
हाँ, कोरा मनोरंजन तो नहीं है। उपयोगिता भी है, वो भी चाहिए। मनोरंजन भी तो एक हिस्सा है आपके, उसके बिना भी आप कुछ नहीं कर पाएंगे। घर में रहते हैं, बात करते हैं, स्टाफ रूम में होते हैं, आप अपने दोस्तों से बात करते हैं, कलीग से बात करते हैं, किसी की गॉसिप भी करते हैं, राइट? तो सिनेमा भी वही काम करता है, बुक्स भी वही काम करती हैं, तो या दे आर रिक्वायर्ड, they have a
Right,
function.
it would be great if they have a message with the entertainment,
Yeah.
that would be like icing on the cake. But I think as you said कि मनोरंजन भी जीवन के लिए उतना ही जरूरी है, हंसना उसके माध्यम से
बिल्कुल।
वो भी हमारे लिए उतना ही उपयोगी है जितना कि हमारे लिए उसके द्वारा दिए गए मैसेजेस
Messages होते
और कोई भी लेसन्स. Okay. This question is from Asim. Can cinema instigate negative emotions as well? If so, how concerning is it in terms of society as a whole? Like if it can does that, and however, if the cinema display only positive aspects of society, it won't be a real reflection of society.
But it doesn't do
So,
that. It doesn't just portray the positive. That's why it's the reflection. What I said was that the portrayal can be measured more positive, because you take up, although it's not if you look up at any Karan Johar's a movie beginning early on, you see this portrayal of the gaze, right? uh, which something can be laughed away at, but it's at least sensitive, it's there, the characters are there, otherwise they would be brushed aside, they wouldn't even be talked about. So cinema is not always portraying, or should not always portray, which anyways it's not doing positive. It does bring in negative also, and yes, it has negative impacts as well. I still remember there was one movie which talked about loot at home. It was about haste at a home, and people followed it to the T, and they stole stuff. So it's not as if it positively helps. There are negative repercussions as well. But again, you take what you take. That's the thing. And the positive, the better.
yeah, right. Like you said, there was this movie, I don't know if people have watched it, आंखें, जिसमें सुष्मिता सेन तीन अंधों के
Yes.
साथ एक बैंक लूटती है, and
Yeah.
उसके बाद कहीं बाहर में ऐसा हुआ था कि वाकई में कुछ अंधों ने एक बैंक लूटा था. So that's up to you that how you are going to take
Yeah.
things. And like it's my opinion, I feel that sometimes in the name of reality, people are showing so much of abusive language, so much of violence. Now, I don't know like how that is really going to help us, like on the name of reality. Are we really doing it right? Or as
Right.
Asim
Yeah.
has said, that we are nurturing more negative emotions through that one.
This is one
So,
criticism that comes
yeah.
out, even I was speaking to somebody in police and the higher up here in Himachal, and they are very measured police force here. At least I find them much you can talk to them, unlike maybe in Delhi or Haryana, or that has been a very personal experience, I don't know. But and they said that these portrayals of sexual assaults is actually leading to more. So it might be creating a sort of an awareness, or starting a conversation, but it's also leading to more of such incidents. So yes, it has a negative impact in a sense, but who takes what is the thing. So I think we can equip our students to take the positive rather than the negatives out of it. So the negatives can generate the conversations, the debates, the discussions, and the positives can help with the coping and resilience.
Yeah, right. I
Yeah,
think as
yeah.
educators, we should tell our students that how to filter whatever has
Yes.
been, shown on the screen or whatever has been written on the pages. We have to filter and we have to read what is good for us. And we shouldn't really take the negative inspiration, from all these. Like you talked about Kabir Khan, the movie which shows, that men in a completely negative shade. But I think rather than getting him as an ideal or as a hero, we should think that, this is something we should not do.
Should
Okay,
not do.
so if we
Yes.
take it that way, I think we are going to get good from that one. And if we are going to, make him our ideal, that, this is good, then, that will really, corrupt the mind. So,
Yeah.
thank you, Dr. Suman. Thank you so much. And I think with this, we come to the end of this session. And I hope
like me, all our participants, they have learned something from this one, and they have learned the worth of art, and that is much, much more than entertainment. Yeah, entertainment is also really important, and we should get that one for our mental health, but it's more than that. And once again, thank you so much on behalf of ARST College, our organizers, Professor Anjali Gupta ma'am, Professor Nithatuli ma'am, and our principal, Professor Gyantosh Kumar Jha. I again thank you for accepting this invitation and really enlightening us with your words of wisdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you for inviting. I thank the college and the organizers and the principal also. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure altogether.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
And